All right, hi everyone. This is Bernadine Wu. Today's webinar on cultivating loyalty with data-driven messaging, accelerating your messaging strategy, is put together by our team at FitForCommerce as well as the Oracle Bronto team. We think that this is actually a very critical topic and, of course, very timely given that many of you are headed into peak. Let me first introduce our speakers. Again, my name is Bernadine Wu. I'm the founder and CEO of FitForCommerce. I'll tell you about my team in a minute. I'm joined by Jay Greenberg, who is a senior consultant for FitForCommerce. Jay has an extensive digital commerce and digital response experience at large companies like Bed Bath & Beyond, Bye Bye Baby, Harmon Face Values, and Christmas Tree Shops, which does not sell just Christmas trees. And it's one of my favorite places to visit. He has been responsible for doubling and growing combined sales to more than $1 billion across these properties. At FitForCommerce, Jay has worked on projects for companies such as the Home Depot, Living Spaces, and GameStop. And he is a superstar in this area around performance marketing and digital commerce. We're also joined by Greg Zakowicz, who's the Senior Commerce Marketing and Analyst at Bronto, which is a leading cloud-based commerce marketing automation platform provider, and Greg's going to tell us a little bit more about that later. He, too, is an industry veteran with more than a dozen years of experience in email, mobile, and social media marketing. He's a frequent speaker at e-commerce events such as IRCE and eTail and Fashion Digital New York. He's been published in Multi-Channel Merchant, ClickBee, Total Retail, and he's the host of Bronto's own Commerce Marketer podcast, which I encourage everyone to check out. Today, what we'll cover is a couple of different sections here. Instilling loyalty to retain customers, using data to meet customer expectations, welcome strategies that cultivate loyalty, and then rounding out with retention strategies on post-purchase messaging. So a little bit about FitForCommerce. We are excited to see many of our clients and friends in the industry on this webinar, but also looking forward to getting to know many others. We are a specialized consultancy focused on growth, basically, helping businesses accelerate businesses, whether that's a digital or store or mobile or social. Of course, now we think about this in an omni-channel world. We have this notion of digital diligence, which is our philosophy and our methodology around making what are ultimately investment decisions. And we kind of view all key business decisions as investment decisions, whether you're making a decision on what strategy, long-term strategy, or what holiday strategy, or what technologies to use, or what tactics and vendors to use. This is sort of the world that we live in, and we bring that sort of investment mindset. We also have a full recruiting and organizational development practice. We run a website called E-commerce Know-How, which is kind of our way of giving back to the market with best practices and expert advice, and probably the most rich provider directory in the industry. We're also proud to partner with NRF, where we run their official Omnichannel Retail Index, which is an annual study of the top retailers and kind of a who's doing what and what trends are forming. And I believe that a new study is being worked on right now and will be out soon. We also work on a lot of benchmarking, which is where we draw upon some of this data. And lastly, we also run the Innovation Office, which is a filtering, curating, and peer-sharing program for helping our executive retail clients manage through kind of the sheer volume of innovation and technology in the industry. So enough about us. Greg?
Thanks, Bernadine, and I'm going to try to keep this really short for you guys because I'm sure you don't want to just hear about Bronto the whole time. So as Bernadine mentioned, we are a cloud-based commerce marketing automation platform and the leading email provider to the world's top internet retailers. Really, our clients are retailers around the globe, and our goal as a company is to help them drive revenue, and we do that through a variety of different ways. We're built for commerce, which really means we can integrate with virtually all e-commerce platforms, including ones you've built yourself, We're designed to drive ROI, so whether it's between our user-friendly interface, helping you send emails that can be just promotional and automated messages such as welcome series, browser-based messaging, cart recovery, kind of the whole gamut, including product recommendations and things of that nature. We also have an in-house professional services team which can handle anything from strategic consulting if you need a little help with things, to project-based work, to full-blown execution for you from start A to start to end Z. And then, of course, we have a around the globe in-house award-winning support team for you as well. So hopefully that was a quick enough elevator pitch for you. But if you have any questions around your email program or how we might be able to help, I invite you just to contact me.
Great. Thanks, Greg, for that. And thank you also for helping to bring this webinar to the audience today. So, just to tee us up on the topic here, these are some interesting stats that underscore why companies should put more, we believe why companies should put more weight on customer loyalty. And these days, when we talk about marketing, loyalty is or has to be part of the conversation, because there's no doubt that lifetime value of a customer is the real KPI that we're after, and not just return on advertising spend, or ROI. And most of you have heard that it costs 5 times more to acquire a customer than to retain an existing one. That's in our business as well as many other industries. But what's interesting is that the probability of selling to an existing customer is 60 to 70%, whereas the probability of selling to a new prospect is 5 to 20% as well. So existing customers are 50% more likely to try new products and spend 31% more. So if you didn't believe this sort of before, then I think these stats really weight down, obviously, that side of the scale there. And when it comes to our precious dollars and our precious time that we have to spend towards marketing, we have to prioritize. And I would hope that this help guides us. So we're going to take a quick poll here. In this question here, this is both an easy question and a hard question, in that we have to prioritize our spend on new customer acquisition versus customer retention. And so the question is, which statement best represents your company's focus? I know it's easy to say equally on acquisition and retention, but when you really think about where your time, budget spend, staffing, and how much of the team is on acquisition versus retention, go ahead and cast your votes here, and we'll see how that compares to a statistic that we've pulled from some market analysis. So go ahead and vote now. Just on your screen there, you can click on either higher priority on customer acquisition, higher priority on customer retention, or equal on acquisition and retention. And what I find is that there's both, but we really mean like choose the third one if it really is equal. All right, let's see if we have enough results here. Okay, so 53% on customer acquisition, 37% on customer retention, and 11% equally. The market stats that we pulled were 44% of companies have a greater focus on customer acquisition that focus on retention, and the rest were mixed. So what we find critical here, of course, is that there really is a mix, but it's good to the customer acquisition is sort of a more expensive sometimes cost, and sometimes the focus for a lot of teams. In this survey, 50% rank lead gen or customer acquisition as most important, and 48% for customer retention. So we can pull any number of different statistics, and the numbers will vary a little bit, but I think the messaging is sort of the same. On this one, 42% rank retention as important versus 33% for lead gen. And then surprisingly, 16 or close to 17% rank lead gen as the least important versus 9% for customer retention, giving customer retention kind of a 7-point spread. In talking about loyalty, this is a fantastic quote here. This is Jeff Bezos of Amazon saying that Amazon customers are loyal right up to the second someone else offers them a better service. And that's what motivates him, and that's what That's what they strive for. So even Amazon, where when we speak and we do a room survey of who's a regular Amazon customer, it's at least 90%. But even then, we have to earn every loyalty minute, every email, every transaction, every interaction, every single time. And if we have that mindset that we have to keep earning that, then I think that's where where it'll help us prioritize where we want to invest. I'll leave you with this one last quote, which really is about data. Data is like a rock star. If not managed well, it will trash the place. And it's easy to say that data is important, and data is the new black is the other one that I heard. But we really believe that data is at the core of every decision that we're making, whether that is in front of the customer or behind the scenes. And whether that's in merchandising, marketing, operational decisions, or even organizational and financial decisions, we have to get at what the data is that will lead us to those smarter decisions. And it used to be that we didn't have enough data, and so we were looking for more data. Now, I think most people would say we've got a lot of data. The issue is we're not sure what to do with the data or how to make it actionable or how to turn that into wisdom. So with that, let me hand things over to Jay to take us into our next section.
It's great to be with everyone today. We're going to have a fantastic dialogue regarding the opportunity for retailers to create customer value, which can lead to loyalty and the retention of customers. In today's highly connected world, customers have so many choices. As merchandise becomes increasingly accessible, retailers and brands must offer an experience throughout the customer shopping journey to sustain attention and loyalty. So it's important to have a strategic focus on customer retention in order to instill loyalty and grow sales. Increasing customer retention rates by just a few basis points can significantly improve the profitability of one's business. Looking at this current slide, the most successful companies today use data to understand their customers and engage them with relevant content throughout the customer lifecycle. Data can be used to customize promos based on shopper behavior by knowing what promotions work best. Obviously, a fantastic assortment and relevant merchandise and great pricing and promotions can assist in driving customer value and services. So employing a CRM database that captures all the interactions and touch points. And looking at the screen, you can see all the different areas that could certainly interconnect within a company. Each of these has the ability to connect customers and provide data-driven insights. Often, CRM teams work closely inside a company with data scientists and members from marketing analytics. These insights can be used to develop strategies and tactics for engaging with various customer segments. So data can include in-store orders, online clickstream data, and preference center choices. One important metric is customer lifetime value, or CLV. This metric is really important to know. For example, customers with a high CLV should be a key focus because they are often an indicator of future profitability. While 76% of companies see CLV as an important concept for their organization, only 42% are able to measure it accurately. Once strategies and tactics are defined, it's hard to put them into motion. Today, it's more than delivering the right message to the right person at the right time. It's also delivering content that has value to your customers, whenever, wherever, and however they want. Integrating your CRM system with a marketing automation platform can simplify that task. Marketers can set up workflows and decision trees and business rules that help to interact with real-time data, that can adjust campaign messaging depending on what the customer has done. So here's just one example of how this technology can assist the customer experience or prevent a poor experience. We know that there's clearly some lead time with email creation and deployment, and a customer could purchase the same promoted product prior to an email deployment. What do you do in that instance? An email campaign to that customer could be stopped from deploying, or that cell in an email could automatically be adjusted on the fly before the email is sent or opened. Or even if there's a mistake in the email and there's an error that got through the QA process, that can actually be fixed before the customer opens it. So marketing today requires not only a grasp on traditional segmentation principles, but an understanding of what resonates with particular segments. For some companies, the most lucrative segment is millennials. According to Entrepreneur.com, millennials and Generation Z are currently estimated to be over 144 million strong and wield tremendous buying power. In fact, millennials, also known as Generation Y, whose oldest members are now turning 35, are estimated to spend about $600 billion a year in the U.S. In a recent survey, 55% of millennials stated they would like personalized experiences and services, and personalization is a high priority for driving loyalty for millennials. So looking at this screen here, blasting one version of your email campaign to the entire active list may not be effective. However, being able to properly segment your email file and target relevant audiences can assist in more effective communication with your customers. CRM data combined with marketing automation enables a high degree of personalization that can take many forms. Among them are messaging, offers, cross-sells and upsells, and even reorders. Whether in-store or online or through the mobile app, customer offers and personalized content can be tailored to individuals that can make them happy to do business with you and creating greater customer loyalty. This is so important today because customers have a louder voice than ever, thanks to social media. Taking a look at this current slide, you can see a survey of U.S. marketing executives by the Relevancy Group. Dynamic content in email marketing is the most effective personalization tactic. Other leading tactics involve both the use of real-time data and self-learning systems in email and online. Advances in the marketing technology ecosystem and learning algorithms can assist in driving more relevant content and improved results. So whether you're online or in store or somebody's on through the mobile app, customers can offer be tailored to individuals, making them happy to do business. So it's important today because these certainly the audience and millennials and others are quite active. So just taking a quick look from a great quote from billionaire Warren Buffett, as he says it best, any business with delighted customers has a sales force they won't have to pay. You don't see them, but they're talking to people all the time. So I'm sure many of you in the audience, your customers talk among themselves and friends and family and so forth. So people, they don't always remember the price of the product or what they were exploring or even the time of when they did it or the date, but they're definitely likely to remember the experience that they had with that retail brand, especially if it was a fantastic experience. So while many programs do exist, not necessarily everyone does it right. There's a lot of structured loyalty programs are a way to instill loyalty with customers, but there's a number of programs out there. So this chart shows on average how many programs people belong to compared to how many they actively participate in. On average this year, customers belong to over 14 programs, but they're only active in about half of them. And I suspect you could look at your keychain with your keys and see how many key fob cards you have or how many mobile apps you've downloaded and how many you downloaded versus how many you're actually engaged with, which are probably significantly less. So from a structured loyalty program perspective, according to Forbes, 86% of millennials join loyalty programs. And we all have our favorite brands that we like to engage with. It can include coffee or donuts, grocery stores, pizza, restaurants, gasoline, hotels, credit cards. There's so many of them. So structured loyalty programs are another way to instill loyalty with customers. Amazon Prime, Starbucks rewards, grocery chain Stop and Shop gas rewards, My Panera, they're just a few examples of popular programs today. Let me give you one example. My Panera rewards, they have a free bagel a day for the entire month program. They make ordering and pickup super easy. You can order through their mobile app, you can schedule your bagel flavor, and then visit the rapid pickup area, which is separate from the customer line. In this instance, Panera has an obvious incentive to get you back into a local store and engage with you to drive more sales. So if you just picked up the bagel and jumped out, okay, not much there. However, had you gone and got a cup of coffee or a loaf of bread or a soup or whatever, tickled your fancy that day, there's an opportunity for them to engage, and obviously they want to bring you back into the store. So for more than a decade, email marketing has been the primary go-to customer retention marketing channel. As mentioned earlier, effective email marketing today involves a great deal of personalization. Today, we're fortunate to have Greg from Bronto speak to this channel in depth and show you alternatives to the old school batch and blast mass messaging techniques. But first, I would like to share this quote from a Google executive. We're heading towards an age of assistance where, for marketers, friction will mean failure and mass messages will increasingly mean move on. Today's sophisticated shoppers are expecting unique and personalized experiences from the brands they love and trust. And email marketing is one digital channel where current technology and customer data can assist in driving loyalty with data-driven messaging. And now, let me turn the presentation over to Greg, who is going to share some practical email examples with us. Take it away, Greg.
All right, thanks, Jay. And really, I love the quote there at the end because it's a perfect segue into what I'm going to talk about today, and that's where mass messaging means move on. And we're, as Jay mentioned, in the age of batch and blast emails. And there's a lot of good reasons why we're in the age of batch and blast emails, and they've kind of gone through this revitalization. But why those emails are a little less effective now than they ever have been is because consumers expect more from retailers they interact with. They expect more from companies they interact with. I'm having trouble moving my slides here. There we go. So consumers are connected across the board. They can really do whatever they want, whenever they want, wherever they want because of mobile phones, and because they expect more and because they have this ease and convenience to them, they're really becoming more in command than they ever have before. They're smart, they're savvy, and they just expect more. And here's a great example from an email marketing perspective of what they look at. I'm not going to go through each of these data points, but look at the types of data consumers are expecting retailers to take, use, aggregate in order to make their communications more effective. Purchases I made on the website, that's a no-brainer. That's going to be 100% pretty soon here because it's standard. It's kind of a gimme. The one in the middle, what I looked at on the website, a couple of years ago, this wasn't even close to 50%. It was probably in the 30s to maybe upper 30s to low 40s here. People are increasingly expecting their behavior to be tracked and used to make messaging more relevant. The reason most of them are usually okay with that is because they expect something in return. If they're going to give something, they expect something back. And the bottom one here, the purchases I made offline, this should really just scare the heck out of retailers because while most retailers cannot execute upon this today, consumers are starting to expect it, which means they're going to start being tuned off or turned off to things that are less relevant to them, going back to the quote we saw a minute ago. So if you can't execute the basic things today and coming in the next year or two, you're going to have a hard time adjusting to increasing expectations down the road. So consumers expect one thing. Do retailers deliver that thing on the other side? And the answer is no. There's a very big difference between what consumers are expecting and what retailers are delivering. Consistently not useful emails, almost 60% of the time consumers say they're not useful, and consistently useful only 15% of the time. So if I turned to you and said, you know, what would your consumers say about your email program? If you fall in that 60 to 15 or somewhere in the middle there, and there's a really big gap and divide between what consumers are expecting and what retailers are delivering. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important because of this, right? We have two stores, your store and your competitors, that sell the same widget, maybe at the exact same price and offer the same value adds, 30 days return, 10% off for orders, or free shipping, whatever it might be. Well, as a consumer, why am I going to buy from you and not from them? What's going to motivate me to purchase from one store over the other? I've got Amazon looking over my shoulder, which I always have as a third option if I want to classify them as that. And this is where personalization comes in from every aspect of your communication with them. So what these two retailers here do is they say, hey, how do we personalize? How do we communicate with these customers? I know. Let's do a welcome series because this is a new customer. And we saw during the poll earlier, over 50% of people have a higher focus on customer acquisition and 30-some on the customer retention side. I've got something for both of you today, but this welcome series here, brand new user, I got to your website, something has intrigued me enough to sign up and want to get emails from you. And I get a series like this, not bad looking messages, but it's pretty typical, right? Hey, welcome, you're on the list. Tell us more, give us your preferences. Hey, connect with us on social. These are standard best practices. The problem comes in if I'm a 60-year-old male or I'm an 18-year-old female, I'm getting the exact same series. There's nothing, it's going to be irrelevant to one of us here. And this is the problem with general best practices. They're a great starting point, but they're not an end point for you. So what I want to talk about today is ways to take this welcome experience and personalize it. And there's two very simple data points you can use to personalize it and provide a smoother, relevant onboarding experience for new consumers that should equal conversions. And that's really looking at the source of the acquisition and the behavior of the user inside of the welcome series itself. So if we talk about the source first, here's a couple examples of navigation bars. And it's a really good place to start from a navigation bar because they're generally your high-arching categories. Think about from this example. If I'm shopping for bedroom furniture versus a home office equipment or furniture, I have two very different needs, right? So if I get a generic welcome message that says, hey, we have all the things to furnish your bedroom, it's great for the bedroom person. It's not great for the home office person. And here's a simple solution to say, hey, when that person is browsing your website and they sign up, they have some sort of source code on that category of pages or that specific page to say, hey, when Greg was viewing home office or desks, he signed up for our email program. He has some sort of immediate interest in desks or home office equipment at that point. So it allows you to really customize here. Now maybe categories isn't your thing or it's a little harder to do in that case, but look at the very bottom example. It's 50-50. Are you male or female? And we can try to deliver you an example from there. So what that could look like is this. We get the same welcome message. At heart, it's the same message, but I've got a different navigation bar, different verbiage. I've got a different hero image in there. And I've got some different verbiage down below. At the end of the day, it's just, hey, welcome to ASOS. Shop now. We've got what you need. But as a subscriber and a new subscriber, it's immediately more relevant to me. It's more engaging, right? So if this is your company and you engage me and your competitor sends me, you know, in this case, they send me a female hero image, it doesn't do much for me. Right, so you're immediately being more relevant and engaging. So look at the source of the acquisition because the source is going to tell you a lot. It's going to tell you about interest, and it's going to give you the opportunity to immediately engage with someone. Now, if we look at the behavior inside of the welcome series or welcome messaging itself, and this really applies to any message, not just a welcome series, but we're going to use it for illustration purposes today, is look at the behavior of the user because that's telling you a complete story at that point. So here's an example from Tackle Direct. They sell fishing equipment, so saltwater fishing, freshwater, tackle gear, things like that. So you would get a welcome message like this, and their general second message in the welcome series is this: hey, reasons you'll love shopping with us. Well, that's a great message. It's trying to reinforce value adds and differentiate themselves from the competitor. But they looked at this and they said, you know what? Our saltwater fishing consumers have different needs that our fly fishing people or our freshwater, right? There's different equipment, there's different types of lures, there's different types of everything. Why are we sending them the exact same thing? So they said, hey, if they click on one of these two saltwater links, we're going to customize their messaging. We're not going to send them the message too. We're going to target them with the saltwater specific gear message. Now this message is certainly more sales oriented than the traditional second message, but they said, hey, they got to the website, they signed up for emails, they got an email, they opened the email, they clicked on the email, they're pretty engaged by this point. They kind of know what they want. Let's go ahead and be more salesy with them and see if it works. We're all talking about relevance here, engagement, how we stand out and differentiate from the competitors. So does something like this work? And the answer is absolutely. So from a promotional message standpoint, obviously these messages perform extremely better, but compared to the general version compared to this version, you can see this version, because it's more targeted, performs much better. But look at the bottom two bullets there. 3% of the amount of email sends compared to the generic version, yet it's driven 140% more revenue than the generic version. Relevancy matters, and here's a great way to take a brand new email subscriber, turn them into a customer, and then pick up from there, and hopefully your engagement and your post-purchase process gets that customer to start building and cultivating some loyalty at that point. So listen to what the user is telling you when they're a new acquisition. Look at the source code, look at or where they're coming in from sign-up behavior, and then look at the behavior inside the series, because they're telling you a story. That story is going to allow you to personalize messaging, and the great thing here they're automated messages. You don't have to recreate the wheel every single week. It doesn't take a whole lot of resources to do this. The automation is pretty simple to set up. So it's going to run by itself, and you can just look at the analysis. Set it and forget it's a bad term, but you can go back, look at it, and see how it performs from that point. Now, we've taken a new subscriber, turned them into a customer, hopefully at that point, or you have other consumers who become first-time or multiple purchasers as well. So how do we create loyalty from those people? Well, post-purchase messaging is something that a lot of companies don't do. They will say they do it, but really what they talk about post-purchase is, yeah, we send a product review message or we send an order confirmation. That's not really what we're talking about here. We're talking about engaging and continuing a relationship. So let me ask you two questions, and this is a good phrase for you. If I say, how is everything? Or want to buy something? Right, I'm going to elicit two very different responses, and I'm probably going to be a little hesitant with the want to buy something side. My defenses go up a little bit. This is exactly what email marketing is after you buy something. Think about the last time you bought something from a retailer, and the next day or 2 days later, you got a promotional message, or maybe 2 or 3 saying, hey, buy something, check out our new products here, right? That's the equivalent of want to buy something. You're treating the customer the same as a prospect at that point. If I say, how is everything, you're going to engage. You're probably going to be more loose, and you're going to ask me some questions, and we're going to have a dialogue. And think about post-purchase messaging in the how is everything category. So it's designed to enhance a relationship. It's continue the conversation, start building loyalty, build trust, and really at the end of the day, doing this will differentiate your brand from your competitors. Now, where do you start? Post-purchase messaging. Everyone looks at this and say, hey, there's 20 messages I can do. Where do I begin? What do I start doing here? A very simplistic way to start is just to thank the customer. And yes, I know you probably say thank you in your order and shipping confirmation messages. You can never say thank you too much. So a message like this traditionally goes out anywhere from 4 to 7 days after purchase and just says, hey, thanks for your order. Let us know if there's anything we can do for you. By the way, as our way of saying thanks, come back and here's XYZ off your next order. It's a nice way to disguise a promotional message. It's disguising that how is everything, or the want to buy something, into an how is everything type thing. These messages, believe it or not, are usually one of your best performing email messages from a revenue and conversion standpoint that you're going to send beyond maybe browse abandonment, certainly shopping cart abandonment. But they're incentivized here, but they've done so in a very nice way. Now, whether you can or cannot offer incentives is one thing, but you can also do this from a non-incentivized standpoint. Hey, thanks for your order. While you wait for us to ship it to you, check out our Instagram page or register your tool, or better yet, here's how to care for a tool, and you link to a blog post at that point or some product care instructions. I love product care messaging. Not only did you buy something from us, you bought something of value, and we want you to take care of it. So these are great thank you messages without incentives that are doing something beneficial for the customer. The Crate and Barrel is a nice example. It has a phone number up there. Hey, let us know if we could do something for you. And it does very subtle cross-sells with product recommendations down below. Those recommendations are indeed relevant to what I purchase as well. Big thing with recommendations is make sure they're relevant for you. So here's a great example of both an incentivized and non-incentivized way just to say thank you. I'd rather get this message as a recent purchaser than get a message that says, hey, new products on sale now, buy, buy, buy. Now, the beauty here is that you can do both of these. So if you incentivize, great. If you don't incentivize, that's great as well. Here's an example of being able to balance that. So on the left-hand side, someone makes a purchase, they get the incentivized thank you. That message is really designed to get them to come back to purchase again. So what happens if they do? You can certainly send them the same message again, and if they buy every 4 days, you're probably okay with that. But you're also training them to wait for discounts. The option here is you can send them a non-incentivized message second. You know it's a second purchase in a very short period of time, and that's really the power here. And say, hey, we've got someone on the hook here. We've got someone a little more engaged with us, and they're spending money with us. What else can we do to elicit some engagement out of them? Here's 2 examples, right? Take a selfie, if it fits perfectly for their brand, or hey, want to get more from your workout? Check out this resource here for some workout videos, whatever it might be. So they can throttle these things so that you're not being incentivized all the time, but you're also not getting just the same message time and time again. Again, it's all about continuing engagement here. You see the Windsor example again, but the Foot Locker there, hey, take a picture, right? People are sharing things. You can use this engagement and this user-generated content, or UGC, into other avenues of your marketing as well. So even the JCPenney's example, how many times do you get a product review message that is bland and boring and says, hey, review your products, give it 5 stars? They've done some elements here, and although I purchased a blender and the bottom says, hey, share your style with us, they're still taking the attempt at generating UGC. In this case, I'm not wearing the blender, but I can always share some pictures of smoothies or whatever I built, whatever I blended up that day for them. So it's all about gathering content, which you can repurpose in other places. Again, great example of a colorful, engaging post-purchase message from a product review standpoint that not only offers me a discount for leaving a review, but also if I share something, I get entered for a chance to win something as well. And I might be inclined to share a picture like this with my kids when I bought this costume, which I still wear at least once a month, chase them around the house, so that's always fun. But you can use it in promotional messaging as well. That's a batch and blast message off to the right side there. Jay mentioned we live in a batch and blast world now. I reinforce that. You guys all probably have get emails on a daily basis, which are batch and blast. This message, because it has user-generated content, which was acquired by engaging their consumers, takes a batch and blast message and makes it a little more relevant to them, which engages. People connect with people a lot more than they connect with stock models. So it's just a couple examples of ways to build loyalty and cultivate a relationship with customers once they come in. This is not an all-inclusive list of a post-purchase series, but there's some different messages designed to get you thinking, to get you started. Obviously, if you have a loyalty program, those messages should be factored into your post-purchase series as well. But the one big caveat, because there's always a but, is ugly charts that blind you. No, that's not the but. The chart really shows something that you should always be looking at, and this is balance. So a sample post-purchase series here, we have transactional messages, order, shipping confirmation, which are hopefully optimized with product recommendations, things like that. But then we also have customer service and engagement type messages. These messages are not necessarily designed to sell product. They're designed to enhance a relationship, provide value for the purchase, enhance the purchase experience. Now we have some promotional messages which are really disguised as post-purchase, right? That thank you message if it has an incentive in there. Maybe we have some product recommendations or cross-sell, upsell type emails, and maybe a coupon reminder if we offer those, so they're promotional. And then we've got more data content. So hey, share a selfie with us, or share some UGC, or manage your preferences. It's about gathering data or engaging with customers. And then we have kind of these chameleons here. So you know, that bounce back, it could be incentivized, it might not be incentivized, it could be sometimes. So that can shift either way. And then finally, this is engagement. It could be a UGC request. It could be, hey, just check us out here. At the end of the day, you can't figure out where these lines are going. The goal is to balance your messaging. Think about the benefit of the email. Is the email benefiting the consumer by giving them things like how to care for their product, or resources they can look at, or is it benefiting the retailer? Hey, buy something from us, because that's ultimately going to benefit us. You want to strike for a 50-50, 60-40 consumer retailer benefit side to make sure you have the engagement. You can certainly have every message benefit the customer, and that's perfect. You're probably leaving money on the table at that point, but it's not a bad thing to do. But try to strike a balance here. If every message is just asking to buy something, it's the crazy uncle who only calls when he wants money. At some point, you're going to stop answering that phone. That's what batch and blast messages do. That's what post-purchase messages avoid and overact. So I've given you a lot of stuff. Is it successful? Can it work? How effective is it? Well, here's two examples of just that thank you bounce back message we showed. One incentivized, one non-incentivized. And here's the metrics we see from the incentivized one. Obviously converts extremely well. The beauty here is that this is at least a second purchase in a very short window of time. But look at the very bottom there. It's generated 5% of total email revenue and accounts for less than 1% of their email sends. The non-incentivized version of a thank you message still converts extremely well. Look at that, 1,800 almost percentage points over a promotional email lift in conversions, and 1% of total revenue on 0.03% of sends. It's 1% on the bottom line they weren't getting before, and you're getting repeat purchases without giving away margin at this point. If we extrapolate that out to the entire series, we see these two examples where the left side, every message is incentivized, but look at what they did there. It's a thank you message with an offer. It's a product care message, which I love. Did I mention that already? I love product care messages, but it has an offer. It has a style guide, which benefits the customer, but it has an offer. So they disguise it very cleverly. And here's the metrics they received. Again, you're looking at 4% with half a percentage of email sends. So you guys you're starting to figure out the pattern here. And the same thing on a non-incentivized 3-part series. Again, 5% for 1% there. So really powerful messages from post-purchase standpoint. Again, think about how you can continue the engagement, how you can benefit the customer, and ultimately, how you can differentiate your brand. So with that being said, thanks for listening to me here. I'm going to turn it back over to Bernadine to handle some of the questions at this point, and we'll take it from there.
All right, so thanks for that, Greg. We have quite a number of questions lined up, and so we will do the best that we can to answer as many as we can, and if not, we will follow up with some answers after on an offline basis. So, okay, here's one. What are the major differentiators that drive active versus inactive users of a loyalty program? Greg, you want to take that one?
Sure. It's a really good but very tough question to answer, only because we don't really know how that loyalty program is structured. I would say the big thing to look at is really a combination of engagement from the user side, which we've obviously been talking about today, and then value of the program. So for instance, if it's something where it's maybe on a monthly basis I'm making a purchase, but I'm not being engaged by you during that time, that can cause me to kind of out of sight, out of mind, and lose my place of, hey, do I need to buy this from you while I'm getting engagement from another company? So that's one thing to look at as far as unengagement goes, or that inactive status. If it's finding active people, you start getting brand loyalists at that point. So are you connecting with them or doing something on social where you're bridging the email gap or one other communication gap? Are you staying active and engaging with them while you know they need to repurchase something? So somewhat tough to tell, but certainly look at the engagement pieces, both social, web, and email marketing, to figure out where you are touching them and where you're not touching them.
Great, thanks, Greg. Okay, this one I'm going to direct to Jay. I'd like to know what works better, double or triple points or instant discounts?
Well, that's an excellent question. I do not have direct experience with double or triple points. What I can say from prior retail experience in managing email programs is identifying and testing $5 and $10 coupons and driving people to the store, as well as a baseline where email campaigns were segmented out to identify, hey, a section got $5 off coupon at store, $10 off, and nothing. And then on the back end, you leverage the data and test it and identify what actually occurred in that example. It's always use the data.
Great. Greg, anything that you wanted to add on to that one?
Yeah, I would just say that people love discounts and incentives in one fashion or the other. So obviously the straight incentive can work extremely well for you, to Jay's point. The other thing to certainly look at is what's the value of those points, right? So if I look at something like Southwest Airlines where I'm getting triple points for booking a trip today, I might not book a trip because I don't need those triple points at this moment. But if I get triple points for something I'm going to use immediately or in the short-term future, that's probably more valuable for me than the straight discount. So certainly testing and analyzing your incentives, how you structure those will certainly help. But I think there's probably room for column A and room for column B based on your audience and how your loyalty program is structured.
Yeah, and I think just to underscore that point, that all of this requires a lot of testing. I think the question is just, how much testing do you dip your toe in with a few smaller tests, and then based on that, then you can grow to larger tests, but certainly test and adjust. Here's one for you, Greg, as well. Regarding email welcome series, how many messages is the right number?
Yeah, it's a great question. I get that one quite a bit. There's the answer is there is no right answer here or wrong answer. I think at the end of the day, when you start to figure out what you want to communicate to your customers, what is going to differentiate your brand in that set of messages, my guess is you'll probably settle with around 3 or 4 messages, and I think that's pretty typical across the industry for retailers that have welcome series. You can always do an 8-part welcome series if you want to. It's probably overkill. You probably don't have 8 messages worth of content and differentiators to message out there. So certainly just make a list of what's going to separate you from your competitors, boil that down to messaging in a clear way, and at the end of the day, that's going to determine how many messages you have. I'm going to guess you're going to wind up with 3 or 4, which is most common, though.
Hey, Jay, here's a question for you about personalization. Can you provide some examples showing how to use data to create a personalized experience?
Yeah, I'd be glad to. I mean, so from, personalized landing pages on the website, such as the home page, are an obvious one. It's possible like to curate and personalize a page based on customers' preferences. Topics of interest are identified, purchase and browsing history, and preferences of the customer's target marketing segment. Clearly, the preference center is a clear indicator of choices from the customer. So that would be the first place to tap into. Personalizing that customer experience with timely content would be another one on how to infuse it into the customer experience. And serving up emails with relevant content and merchandise based on those interests that we just discussed and purchase history, both online and in store, are obvious ways to help demonstrate a personalized experience.
Since personalization is such a large topic and kind of overlays, so much of this, Greg, do you have anything to add to this? Other ideas around personalized experience?
No, I think we talked a lot about it today throughout the course of the presentation. I think it's really just a matter of finding any piece of data you have, whether it's complex data or very simplistic data. The male-female is a perfect example. Finding the data you have and trying to utilize it as best possible. But I think personalization, we kind of beat the ground pretty hard today with some different avenues. So, just keep focusing on what you have to work with.
Now, here's another one. You showed a lot of post-purchase messages today. If we want to create a series, where do we start?
Yeah, that's a really good question and a somewhat tough one to answer. So I'm always going to give you the tough ones to answer, right? I guess that's my MO over here. But certainly look at. I gave the example of where do retailers usually start, and it's just that thank you message, whether it's incentivized or not. But saying thank you is never a bad thing, and I think it's a great place to start to get your wheels turning to see how people engage from there. And beyond that, again, kind of like I recommended for the welcome series, figure out what you want to communicate and why you want to communicate that. Do those messages help drive engagement and spur conversations along, or are they helpful for customers? And that's a really good place to start. Look at the messages menu slide I included on there when you're looking at the presentation to get some ideas of how to frame that and shape that. Obviously, you can reach out to me. I have some kind of worksheets and cheat sheets I can always provide you to kind of get your wheels turning a little bit and help craft those for you if you need to. But start with saying thank you. Look at your engagement pieces and how you can help the customer. And again, I think the series will pretty much shake out like the welcome series does once you start following that road. But really good question.
Thanks for that. Jay, here's one for you. What types of data are the most important in planning campaigns so they are relevant to the audience?
Gotcha. So leveraging data from the preference center, just like we just discussed a few minutes ago, would be the first location to get started. And this can include the preferences and topics of interest that the customer has identified to you in terms of what they're interested in, how frequently they want to get it. Also, you can tap into that purchase history and the browsing history. So those are some of the types of pieces of data that are critical in planning campaigns.
Great. Okay, Greg, here's a specific one. If you're creating a click-based welcome series and there are clicks on multiple links on the first message, how do you determine which message to send as the follow-up?
Yes, great question. So this really comes down to hierarchy. So you need to look at usually the place where people will build their click-based series is using that navigation bar as a prime example, because usually those are your high-level or overarching categories. Look at the hierarchy there. So if they click on 3 of them, have the automation set up to say, hey, this is probably our most important. Let's send them this way, and then just work down from there. And that might be strategic from most popular category to, hey, this is a category we offer, but we get a lot less traffic there. We want to drive more traffic to or awareness of that particular thing and rank that higher. So just look at your internal hierarchy, figure out what's going to be most important from you, either from an awareness standpoint or potential conversion standpoint, and build it from there. The one thing to keep in mind is don't waste those other clicks. So if you have 3 clicks on that welcome message over, say, 2 days, and your hierarchy, you have it ranked as click 1 is your most important, they get message 2 that associates with click 1. Use click 2 and 3 to either determine product recommendations or message 2 and 3 beyond that. So don't waste those clicks just because they fall second or third down your list. You can certainly still use them, but just simply make a importance hierarchy, and you'll be fine.
Great, thanks for that one. Jay, well, actually, either one of you guys. is it possible to offer a personalized experience if you don't have a marketing automation tool?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, in-store and online preferences, ordering data that can, those can all be effectively utilized to communicate, to the customers or the audiences, both through the website and even upstream digital marketing campaigns. For example, pardon me, a customer orders a coffee maker from your store, and you have some exciting new accessories or new seasonal flavors such as pumpkin spice latte that become available, and they just bought the coffee maker and you want to communicate with them. How can you do that? I mean, based on this customer data set, you can create and execute targeted media campaigns. Another way is leveraging custom audiences within Facebook. You can take that exact store data, drill it in through a digital campaign, something like Facebook, upload it, and now you can start targeting them with display ads in terms of some of these new accessories and flavors.
Fantastic. So I think we only have time for one last one here. Maybe I'll throw this one also out to both of you. Do you think that companies with structured loyalty programs have better success than those without?
I'll jump in first. It's hard to speak to those, those companies that don't have a loyalty program. I mean, obviously those companies or retailers that are truly just thinking about loyalty every day and evolving their programs and testing, they're often focused and in tune with the voice of the customers, and they're looking to improve loyalty and retention. So, I mean, those that are really drilled in and testing and grinding away and segmenting and driving those programs forward are assisting in gathering that data and trying to help, a better experience for the customer.
Greg, you want to close us out here?
Sure thing. It's going to be hard to close out. That's a really good answer, Jay. So I simply add to this, we don't know if they're more successful or not. I think it really depends on the structure of the program, right? So if you have a loyalty program that is giving back to the consumer, it's helping engage and helping drive in additional purchases, it's a really well done loyalty program. There are loyalty programs that I'm signed up for that don't really provide me a whole lot. I sign up because it's more convenient for me. For either reordering down the road or something like that, but it doesn't really get me to become loyal to that brand. So all the other pieces beyond it, engagement, how you're communicating with them, whether it's on social, email, web, however it is, that's really going to go a lot and impact how your loyalty program is structured as well. So I would say it really depends, and the jury's out. There's a lot of retailers obviously trying to reinvent and improve their loyalty program. So I'd say, there's a good mix of ones that find them to be successful and some that know they need work for it. So, really talk to your audience. If you have a loyalty program, call some of your customers or some of your members and ask them how you can improve and what you're doing well and not doing well. And you'll probably be pretty surprised about how effective it's being and what you can do to make it even better.
It's a great idea. I think very often we forget to ask our customers what works for them, what are they excited by. And I would also say, for my 2 cents here, is that we need to get more creative about what loyalty benefits and interactions are. It doesn't have to be points. It doesn't have to be discounts and dollars back. It could be access to, your founder or personality that's related to your brand, or a special event, or some exclusive products, and so on. I do think, and I do see a lot more brands and retailers getting creative around, what are the spiffs, or what is the special engagement with a loyalty program. So with that, I want to thank Jay and Greg for a great session today. We will follow up, of course, with everyone if you had an open question. We will also send out a recording of the webinar as well as the materials. And I'd also invite you to check out this report called From Idea to Doorstep, which is our annual report, and it kind of covers the full customer journey as well as the business side journey of what you guys have to manage from ideation of a product, or from the time that you decide to sell a product or cut a PO, all the way through to the marketing, the content, the selling, whether that's through e-commerce or mobile or social or store, and into the post-order process and getting the product or delight to the customer's doorstep or shopping bag. So thanks again to everyone for joining us today, and have a great afternoon.